What is up, YouTube fam? What's up, everybody? I hope everyone's having a good day. We got ourselves a new power hour. Markets are officially down today, but the overall sniper team is green. Shout out to Himini, up 1,000. But we've also been able to go 2 for 2 today. Technically 3 for 3, but McDonald's I don't really count. And the markets are still having a down day, so I'm here to try to add to my winners from today. If you're new and you got any questions throughout this last hour together, feel free to reach out in the chat room. You guys are always more than welcome to say whatever you'd like. No question is a dumb question. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sniper Mike, and I like to trade. Well, I've been trading now for 11 years, consistently for 9. I would say 8 to 9 years. And I like to trade usually overnight swings. My favorite, I would say about 80 to 70% of my trades are that overnight swing. If stocks are closing strong and creating one of the patterns that I personally like to go after. And I've been going after these patterns, like I said, for 8 to 9 years consistently. So I'm trying to do that again here. And every single day, I'm live with my community. And we go live on the Simpler Trading website. So if you've never been on the Simpler Trading website, definitely check it out. It's an amazing trading community. And I am one of the rooms on there. There's amazing other traders that are on here with me. But I'm under the Stock Snipers if you ever want to come check it out. And every day in the afternoon, we usually buy 1 to 2 stocks together to take overnight. Yesterday, like I said, we made a little bit. And then we also made some money on the morning watch list, which we'll talk about later. But today, we're going to mainly focus the overnight watch list. We'll go over the morning watch list stuff later on. But we're going to do our main focus here on 5 stocks I like to make every night. I call this my overnight watch list. And why do I do that? It's because I've just consistently traded like this for, like I said, 9 years. And honestly, when I first started trading, I was very busy. I had a full-time job. So I had to find a way to get around that. And overnight trading definitely helped it. It also got around the PDT rule where my account was below that PDT. But big news, in about 3 weeks from now, we're not going to have PDT anymore. And I think that's going to help a lot of traders out there. And I think it's also going to bring a lot of volume to the market. So be prepared for that. A lot of people think that when PDT drops, they're just going to make tons of money. But if you don't know how to make that money, or even more important, if you don't know how to cut your losses and create or find stocks that actually have risks that can give you the right reward, then you're probably going to wipe out your account. I mean, look at Bitcoin traders. There's tons of them out there that have a great example of that. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm creating my overnight watch list, and I'm going to put 5 stocks on here. I start with the name, the stock name or the ticker. Then I get into what the pattern is. After I get into the pattern, I talk about what kind of stock it is. This is an OTC with news. It's a higher priced OTC, but yes, that is an OTC price or an OTC stock that I am talking about. And usually what you want to see is the last couple of times it had a day like this, did it follow up? If you look at all of these days here in the past, it dang right looks like it followed up. So that's what we look for. We're looking for a day that it's followed up before. So I'm looking to try to enter in as we go down. We already do have 100 shares at 48.90. So we are down slightly right here. But we're going to try to get some more into the dip. And I'm looking to try to buy around 250 to 300 shares for a possible gap up tomorrow. So we'll see what we can get. But lighter volume OTC, not lighter volume, higher priced OTC. The volume's still 4 million, as you can see on the daily. But we'll see if we can follow up. It does have follow-up days in the past, and that's all we are going to look for. Also, what's great about this stock is it has news that it's going to be on the Toronto Stock Exchange May 21st, actually. So in 2 days. So this could be anticipation to that big possibility going on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And they also got more news yesterday. It is a silver stock, and silver is down, so I'm a little nervous about that. But it does have a lot of good history of gap ups. And as long as we hold 47, I like it. The breakout's all the way down here at 43. And that's usually what you want to see, the stock hold the breakout. But it has a 47 support if we zoom into the day, and we'll see if we can make some money there. The next one is another OTC that also we had on the watch list yesterday as number 2. And look at that. It's number 2 once again. Sorry, I didn't update the daily chart there. But as you can see, it's got a 580 support, very similar to support yesterday. But if you zoom out, you can see that it does have history of gapping up. And if it does gap up, we've got 52-week highs all the way up at 850. So keeping an eye on that one as well for number 2. Number 3, I like this LGCFF. This is the lightest volume out of them all. I usually say they at least have to trade $1 million in volume. So be very, very careful with this one if you are going to go after it. If we go after it, we're going to go pretty light, but it's an OTC gold stock. And it does have follow-up days as well. But I'm trying to catch it on a dip. It's been holding 170 all day. And if you look at the past, it does have follow-up days. So we're just looking at to gap back up above 193, and we're up 10% plus. You can see in the past, you got gap up days after first green days. So that's what we'd look for. But another one, which is weird, a silver stock and a gold stock are up, but both silver and gold are down. So it makes me a little weirded out, but maybe something is going on that we don't know about yet with silver and gold. Oh, shit. Sorry. Jeez. I just changed the price to the other one. All right. And then this FLTCF was $656 and $615. Sorry, 1 second. I just accidentally erased that there. All right, and then the last 2, which is really interesting. I'm actually going with all OTCs. It doesn't usually happen like this, but with the markets collapsing like they are, I'm fine with doing that. So the next one that I got on here, as you can see, yesterday we had lunar first red day. That's because the markets were coming down. And one of the 2 wins that we had earlier was the short on lunar, coming down from 34.50 to 31. And we took that midday move. But I'm not going to put that one on the overnight watch list. I do like this Zcash stock. It's actually related to literally Zcash, the Bitcoin. All Bitcoins are down, but randomly Zcash is up. So I'm going to do that one and this OTC oil stock, ZNOG. And that is an official breakout right there of 45 that we're coming up to right now. It tested 45 earlier. It's trying to come back to 45. We'll see if it can officially break. But ZNOG is an oil stock, and oil is obviously up a little bit with the markets come down. When the markets go down, usually oil is coming up with all the war stuff that's been going on. But I don't love the volume here, and it's definitely not the best looking volume. So another one of those kind of lighter volume stocks. And then last but certainly not least, I'm going to put Zcash on there for possible multi-month breakout. And the reason why I like this one is because this one follows Zcash, the actual Zcash Bitcoin. And let me show you what that chart looks like. My twin brother actually texted me today saying he actually sold some Zcash stock because it was up so much recently. And as you can see, this stock has had a huge spike from 13 to 42. But will it break back out? If Zcash breaks back out, I'm sure this one will do it with it. So let me show you what I'm talking about with the Zcash. I always like to look up Zcash's price on this coin market cap. And if you actually look at the chart and we look at the yearly chart, or even just right now, you could see it curling to high a day. On the 24-hour daily chart, you can see it's also curling back to this 600. And then on the monthly chart, we're almost coming back to highs. That's a huge candle. When Bitcoin is actually down today, if you were to open up Bitcoin, that's down. So Zcash is the last one we're eyeing down out of all of these. I was thinking about AMFN, but honestly, I'm not really as in love with it. It's just kind of a small bounce green day. It does have news this morning, but another one of those lighter volume OTCs that we were debating on doing, I just kind of stayed away from that and went with this FLTCF for a gap. But if you like AMFN, you can do that. And then also the CYPH is a Zcash related stock too. So if you like listed stocks, this is actually Zcash, but in a listed form. I feel like this is a little bit sketchier because how dilutive it is, but you can decide what you want. Those are the 5 stocks that we look to try to make overnight. I've been doing pretty well, averaging 2 stocks a day. I actually review every week with my team, and last week we had a good 14 trades, plus 2,000 in profit, only 60% win ratio. So just to show you, you're not going to win every trade, but if you're good at cutting your losses, you could still profit week by week. And that's what I'm looking to do. So does anybody have any questions or any stocks themselves that they want me to look at? Because if not, we're going to ride with these 5 and we're going to see if we can make some money. I do have the morning watch list I'll go over as well. The only stock that we do have some of is ABXXF, and we have it up at 48.90, so we're about $1 away from that spot. So we're looking to add more as it comes down, and that's what it's doing right now. But it's a slow mover, and we still have 45 minutes left. I always say the later you buy, the better. So let's let these come down, hopefully coming back down to possible supports. And like I said, once we see some buyers turn around, that's when I'm actually going to start going after it. But for now, let's see if we can get caught on the way down. Znog has such light volume, which I don't love. But if you watch the level 2s, which is down here, this is actually called the level 2s. If you click on that, you can see that 45-cent spot's got a lot of sellers. And if we can get above that, that's a good sign we can actually break out. So we're going to be looking to do that. Now, if a stock breaks out of 45, we look for it to hold that spot. So ideally, that's what I'm hoping can happen if it does break that spot. I don't think I'm going to go right at it at 45, but I like the move there. And then this LGCFF, like I said, is still very light, so I'm going to wait a little longer. But as long as it holds 170, it's still a good risk for the possible gap up there overnight. Haven't really gone after more than the 100 shares yet of ABXXF, but that is what we have so far. Looking to get around 250 to 300. And then the other ones I could see myself, possibly LGCFF is probably the other one. This is a slower power hour for sure compared to most. Not slower because we have stuff, but I would say with OTC stocks and the market's dipping, slower in that sense. But no matter what, up, down, or side to side day, we usually can find some opportunity out there. And if you go back to last week, so if you don't follow my journey, you can follow the whole thing since the beginning of my trading career in 2018 on Profitly. We're making new all-time highs, and I like to review this every Wednesday. So next Wednesday is when we'll actually review it. But you can see we tried Znog recently. And then last week we caught a panic dip buy that was beautiful. I was gonna see what we did last week together, but I think it was this McDonald's play. I'm not sure. But every single Tuesday I'm starting to go live now. I'm trying to make this a thing. So if you do enjoy these type of trading, hit the subscribe, like button, give us some love, or come check us out in the Simpler Trading website under Stock Snipers. It's only $7. Very cheap. to come try out what's going on. Last week we had tons of people in this um, live. It looks like today's we're a little slower, and that's usually what happens on downward days when the market's coming down. But trust me, that doesn't mean we can't find winners. So I have my bids all the way down on both of these OTC stocks because they're both very slow movers. So with those being slow, if we get filled on the way down, that's even better. And as long as we hold the supports, we look for them to curl into the end of the day. And then you look for a strong close. I always say it's like a water hose. If something closes really strong, it can open strong. Here's an example from yesterday to today. The volume doesn't look amazing, but it is a strong day and a strong close, closing right at high. It came down slightly, and that's why I say buy at dips. Could have bought there too. This was from the overnight watch list yesterday, and you can see with the clear gap up. Obviously, now it's a little more risky because we're up another day, but this stock looks like it usually flows when it is creating days like this. So keeping my eyes on that closely there. But I think I still like ABXXF for my favorite. And then this other one, it's just super light, so I can wait a little longer there in the last 40 minutes of the day. If you guys weren't with me earlier this morning, because I know we do 2 sessions live, if you weren't with me on the morning session, we actually did trade Lunar short. And I usually like to review my trades if I did go over a trade. So hold on. So let me see if you guys, do you have any stocks that we want to talk about? PURR and NXXT. What's up, Ray? Nice to see you, man. Look at Himini. 1900, kid's killing it. All right. Chris has got PURR, and then Ray's got NXXT. Let's look at these ones. Thank you guys for bringing up tickers. Then we'll go over Lunar, and then we'll hopefully buy some more of these stocks into the close. But we still have 40 minutes left. PURR. It is a month-on-month breakout there. You're right at that spot. Not a bad watcher at all there. I can see what you're looking at. And you see the big runs in the recent. I'll have this on the morning watch list tomorrow for sure, too. I don't know if I'll go after, but definitely good find there, Chris. Let me update the morning watch list. And we'll talk about the morning watch list, too, in a second. That'll be the next thing we go over. I always like to prepare myself every day. So I do 2 watch lists a day and 1 watch list to start the week on Monday. And I'm always doing that every day, 2 watch lists a day. But I would say the overnight one is really where most of my buys are coming from. NXXT. That is a huge squeezer there. Wow, I didn't see that one. This is definitely one to watch after hours. That one could get fun after hours. I'll keep this one pulled up. I missed this focusing on those others, but just a huge green day. And one we can add to our morning momentum list, which tomorrow we are going to have a couple of stocks that we can put on the morning watch list from that morning momentum list. So thank you for that, NXXT. I was too distracted. But on that morning momentum list that we have for tomorrow, so we look for squeezes in VRAX will be one of them. Even though it's already squeezed a little bit, we'll still look for that possible move. So VRAX. I'll show you the morning watch list once I finish it. Let's see what other one we got. Technically, Hive would be one too. And I'll show you what I'm talking about once I finish this. And then GovX. GovX would be one. Yep, that'd be the only other one. So I'm updating it right now, and then I'll show it to you. And we'll probably add some more if we do have another stock or two. We still have another week and a half till the end of, or 2 weeks until the end of this month's trading. AMFN's trying to bounce here. So this is what we have so far on the morning watchers. It's not a large list so far, but usually the morning watchers, we don't put a huge list on it. So I wanted to go after some stuff here. I'm going to swing a little bit of this LGCFF here. I like what we've got already. I think we've held long enough. Nice. It gave us 180. So there's us getting filled there. And it always is nice to get a little bit lower. That's usually the point. You want to buy as close to support as possible. Just in case it follows up, then you're ready to roll. So we're getting our starters there. And then ABXXF would be the next one. Usually the last 30 minutes is when I get a little more aggressive and we're kind of reaching into that spot. And we're going to go after some of this ABXXF. So getting a little more of this ABXXF on this curl here. Those were alerts for something else. So just need a little bit more of ABXXF, pretty much, is what I'm looking for. Still got 30 minutes left, but I like the 47 hold still. It did it once again. It did it midday, and it did it again. Even though it's lighter volume, you could still point out support. I mean, down here would be the next one, 45, but 47 is twice now. And I always like to say it's like reps in the gym, you know, like the Drake song or Rick Ross song. You want to let me shooting in the gym? Because if you're not sitting here watching these reps like I did midday, and I actually took advantage of that midday move, but if you're not watching these reps, then that you won't remember exactly where it paused out or where it stopped midday, and then things change. So it's always nice, even if you're not buying stuff, because midday I technically don't love when people are buying. All right, we're officially in the last 30 minutes of the day. Let's see what we can get. The CYPH, that Zcash listed stock, got pushed down a bit. Sticking with mainly just these OTCs here. Oh, Chris, you're bringing up some more. Let's see what else you got. CNEY. I haven't seen that one yet. Let's go look at that one really quick. So the big runners we had today, we had NXXT. That was a huge runner. Earlier, you had CODX. That was a big runner, but that one came right back down. I don't love when the candle's red on the day. This one's just holding green, but it was red earlier. INM's another one. INM, that's up 100%, but red candle. And then AMST was another one that Chris was brought up earlier. But none of those really, in my opinion, are ones that we look at. NXXT is the only one that looks kind of strained for possible overnight movement. All right, so as we wait to see if this can curl, I'll probably add my last bit of it in the last 10 minutes of the day. So I'm going to try to wait a little bit longer. They're very slow, as you can see. So I can wait a little bit longer for both of them. As long as we keep holding 47, I'm happy. The goal is buy as close to 47. And then LGCFF, the goal is buy as close to 170. I always say if you can envision a discount on something, that's what you want to envision. Just picture a possible discount. And if you can buy a discount somewhere, would you do that? Yes, usually. So that's what we're really doing on these stocks. Just think that they won't be here tomorrow. That's the whole envision of what you're trying to think. We're going to try to buy some more into this dip here down by 47. That is technically the support now. So we're going to continue to add as we come down, so we bring our average down slightly. A lot of people say don't average down, but the only time I do it is if the support is still holding and everything is still intact, which when the support's still holding, we're still intact. But we've got 30 minutes left here. I do still have a good feeling about this. That's why I want to keep buying. All right, so let's see what did you have? What was it? CNEY was that one you just brought up, Chris? Nice. This one's a recent spiker. Wow. Another good one. I'll add to that big runner list. CNEY. Not bad. He got some multi-month breakout there. But let's get into the one that we did play earlier for those of you guys that were with me. Lunar was the stock that we were trying to short. It's been on the watch list since yesterday for the overnight watch list, but not only on the overnight watch list. Like I said, every Monday I create a watch list that I'm looking to try to take advantage of for possible overnight plays. We just got a little more filled at that 47. So as it comes down, I'm trying to get more. But if you look into a Lunar, if you go into our weekly watch list, you'll see. Nice. All right, here's the spot we needed to hold. Interesting dip here into the close. Let's see if we can hold this and get a bounce. It's coming back to 46. So before I go over this, let's keep an eye on this one so I can add my last little bit here. This will be the last spot that we needed to hold. 47 all day, but 45, like I said earlier. So let's see if we get this hold here. Last 25 minutes. You still definitely have time for the curl. Speaking of curl, look at AMFN coming back to highs. Well, we'll stay away from that. I'm going to zone into this one. We're going to try to get our last little bit here. Weird spread. Not the best, but a lighter volume stock, so that happens sometimes. I think we're still going to bounce. But we'll see if we get the rest of that filled. We'll hear it if it does. The only other one that we're still looking is this LGCFF. I want to take them both for the gap. Ideally, they both gap up back to high a day, and then you can decide what you want to do from there. But they do have to make that move first back to high a day. So we'll see if we get that. We're keeping close eyes there. Still like. So we'll hear if we get filled. But we only have 20 minutes left, and I did want to review this really quickly. So right from the weekly watchers, we had Lunar as a first red day, looking forward to fall. And honestly, this 37 area is a heavy resistance. So if you got it up by that, that's gold. But we didn't. We actually waited a full day. Yesterday, just like we're doing right now, on the overnight watch list, we actually put it on there. So it's not like it's something new. We also were watching it for overnight short. And it got these weird spikes, and then it ended up collapsing after that. So these weird little spikes here would have been perfect to short into. Or this morning, it got the same spikes, and that's really where we shorted into the second spike. And then as it started to come down, we actually covered before the last flush out. But it was a good work taking advantage of a first red day. I thought we were going to come lower. I thought $30 was going to be the spot. But you can see that it does start to look weak. And if you do look at the rest of the sector, which is all space-related stocks, they started to bounce. That's the main reason why I decided, all right, sooner than later. This one completely bounced, Rocket Labs. RKLB is Rocket Labs. That's a space stock. And then ASTS was the other one that completely bounced. And they're both green now. So overall, though, great work on a midday winner. And that's why it gives you a little cushion now for these possible overnight plays. So we are slightly down in this ABXXF, but that's okay because we're still trying to buy more. And we made some money earlier, like we were just talking about. So last 40 minutes or 20 minutes of the day, we're going to try to buy more of that. This AMFN did curl back to highs here into the end of the day. We'll see if it gets that complete bounce tomorrow. I could probably add that one to the morning watch list because if it does follow up, it could possibly make that 52-week breakout. So we'll keep watching that one too. It looks like the Zcash stock is just going to hang around the OTC, and then the CYPH is just going to hang by support. If you look at Zcash, it looks just like the stock. It's like literally coming right back to those highs, and so is Zcash. So those ones are almost identical. It's funny to see. Let's see if Zcash can hold. Is 46 going to be the support now? Sunset in the twilight. Oh yeah, it's my kind of fun. So all this is going on while we're having a real ugly day. Third straight downward day in the SPY and the QQQ. But we've still been able to make stuff happen. That's the beauty of the strategy. I always like to say, no matter what, up, down, or side to side market, you want to be able to stay consistent. Losses are always going to be a part of the game, as you saw last week was a good example of that on the weekly watchers or on the weekly webinar that we do tomorrow. We'll be doing this at 2:45. So if you're free, I like to do this before power hour. But last week we only won 60% of our trades. You know, we were swinging a lot, losing a lot. Nah, not losing a lot, but losing just about half our trades. So almost 50% pretty much. Kind of vibe. We turn the lights down low. If anybody wants to try some ABXXF with us, they can get it cheaper than what we got right now. I am probably going to buy some more very soon, but I want to wait for the last 10 minutes. I'm trying now at this point. AMFN completely curled. Great to see there. All right, I think we found the buyer in ABXXF. Tonight, and we meant we. Here we go. My kind of vibe. Nice curl by AMFN. We've got a big seller. So as we talk about OTCs and reading level 2s, you can see that seller is clearly there now. Will it be able to break 16? That's what you want to be able to see. What can it do here? We're coming right up to it. So let's watch it. 15 minutes left. And then we still have that LGCFF. I'm waiting for it. We've already got some at 180. I'm about to buy the last little bit here at the end of the day too. As you can see, what I like to do is usually buy into the end of the day. If they've already taken their dips, then I go after them. But if they didn't, then we don't. All right, so we pretty much got all of ABXXF. It's pretty much a 48 average, 48.20. So a little higher than I wanted. I didn't catch the exact dip that I wanted. I thought 47 was going to be the support. It looks like 46 is what we're going to have to use this cut. But if we can keep holding this into the close, we'll see if we can get a nice little gap up for possibly tomorrow. Ideally, that's really what we look for, the gap up. If you look at the past history of these stocks, you can see, if I were to zoom out to what has recently happened in these stocks, you can see it usually does follow up. You do want it to close strong. That does help. So if it comes back to highs, that would really help it out. But I can't just keep buying. So we're going to stop our buying there. But let's see if we can get a push. Pretty much a 48 average there. A little bit higher, 48.20. And it's a higher price stock. It is a bit spread, which I don't love. But usually if it is able to follow up, or if it's able to gap up, you're already in the right position to possibly get a follow-up. You have to then make the decision of where you want to sell. That's always the goal after that. It looks like AMFN did break that 16. There it is. So the beautiful thing about OTC stocks is you can actually see when stuff happens. There is that 143,000 that was sitting there. I said, are you going to break through me? Yes, it did. If anybody caught in the 14s, they're looking pretty good. If you caught anywhere in the 14s earlier. And that's what I mean by midday dips. Every once in a while, I'll do stuff like that. Today I didn't because markets were falling. But nice to see. Let's see how much more it can push. It's still a little spread. It's got that news this morning, and it looks like that news was enough to get it going. Love to see that. PURR. Yeah, that one still looks good, Chris. I see you looking at that one. It's that multi-month breakout. Curled up at the end of the day. NXXT is getting a small little push down. I mean, it was going up almost all day since 12:30 Eastern. Finally getting some sort of dip. That'll be a fun one to watch after hours. It has $250 million in volume. Usually like the stocks that are up this much if they have like $1 billion in volume. So a little lighter, but you can see very heavy volume for what this stock is. What a squeezer there. All right, we're getting into those last 10 minutes of the day. This is usually when I finalize all of my last little bit of buys that I want. No need to be hanging anymore. If they've done their job now, usually we just try to go for it and you just stick to the cut at this point. I always recommend to stick to the plan. if you wake up tomorrow and markets are really gapping down a lot, obviously you might want to change things. If markets are gapping up, maybe you stay a little bit more patient. But these are OTC stocks, the ones that we're looking at right now. So they probably won't get too affected by the market. LGCFF is a gold stock, so we want to keep an eye on gold, even though gold is randomly down and that one's up. Sometimes you would be able to get something like that, but gold's got a pretty good dip. And so is silver, and this is an ABXXF, a silver stock, so it's kind of weird that these are holding, but I always say play price action and not the news, and the price action looks pretty good in both of these, in my opinion. All right, we got 10 minutes left. Let's see if there's any type of move here into the close. It would be nice to get a push back towards highs in both of these. That's usually what we look for. And if they do close strong, it's a better chance they open strong. OTC stocks will close at 4 p.m. Eastern, so you won't have to worry about them opening up till tomorrow morning. You have no after hours or no pre-market, which also, when I had a full-time job, it kind of helped me out. So we got that LGCFF. I got 3,000 shares total at 180, 1805. So pretty much 180, 181. We're going to try to go after the rest of this for ABXXF. I just want to make sure we get the hold here. Right now, our average is 48 at that ABXXF. I probably will buy just a little tad bit here into the close to close it out. But we've got 10 minutes left. LGCFF, I decided to go with 3,000 shares there. That's the amount we're doing there. And then ABXXF, I think I'm going to do 200, a little heavier in ABXXF. Looking for the gap up. Now you got some sort of buyer here at 16. So that 16 seller turned into some guy or some girl trying to get in. Which is a good sign for a possible follow-up there in AMFN. Now, if you don't like anything overnight, remember tomorrow is a new day, and we will have a list of morning watchers. That's already getting pretty big here. I'm not going to lie. There's that PURR. Nice move there, Chris. But we've got ourselves some watchers here. We'll keep watching Zcash too, because that one is starting to look interesting. If Zcash breaks out, these Zcash stocks will be watched tomorrow morning. But Bitcoin is down. All right, we're back to that buyer there at 16. Let's see if it holds up for AMFN. For LGCFF, it's trying to curl. Very light volume, but let's see. Ideally, though, like you're saying earlier, both of these were just looking for the gap. If they don't start with the gap, we'll probably trim some. If they do start with the gap, we can decide what we want to do from there. But always getting that gap up is key to these closes, especially if they don't push into the close, which we have 7 minutes still, but we're not pushing too much yet. The Zcash stock ended up holding up. I'm not going to go after it, a little too risky. If Zcash does gap down, these will probably gap down. But if they gap up, they'll probably gap up. I'm just not really trusting Zcash too much right now. Znog will be a watcher tomorrow once again to try to break 45. For some reason, this oil stock is having a hard time. We've seen this story before, though. 42 was the last time it had a really hard time, but it's held 42 since it's broke it. So we'll see if we can finally get the volume. Sometimes it's a volume issue, and that happens. All right. All right, I'm going to get my last little bit of this ABXXF here. We only have 5 minutes left, so it's done its job to hold enough. We're going to have a 48 average, which isn't the best average. Actually, it's going to be 48 because we don't have much more to get. It's 48.15, it looks like. So we're slightly down right now. But let's see if we can get the follow-up gap up. That and in the LGCFF, we're going with 2 OTCs here. Let's see what we got. Let's see if we can get the push into the close. 5 minutes left. We are still down slightly there, but if we can get some sort of push, we'll be happy. Just don't come back to 46. Come on. It's having a hard time at 48 here. Either way, we're just looking for a gap up now. 5 minutes left, looking for the buzzer beater push. Chris has got a spot that's a little lower. I love that. That's what it's all about. It looks like AMFN's going to close at high, so we might have missed one here. It was a lighter volume one, but it did have the news, and it did get going at the end of the day. The news was the thing that got it going. We'll see if it can break back out tomorrow, but pretty strong close there for an OTC stock. Looks like it's making new highs, and that's usually what you want to see. You make new highs into the close. All right, so there is the last couple minutes. Here is our morning watch list for tomorrow. If you aren't into any of these, or if you're with us in these, we'll be going over, obviously, the two that were in overnight. I always like to highlight in green. And then we got a good list of stuff we'll be going after. So if you're not in love with any of these, we might be able to grab something else tomorrow morning as well. Oh, not the best close right now, but LGCFF is curling back to close at the highs. So that's doing what we wanted to do. We'll see if ABXXF can keep holding 46 into the close. As long as we hold, we're fine, but we need to hold into the close here. All right, 2-minute warning. All right, 2 minutes left. Let's see if we can get the curl into the close. Xenog did test this 45 right in the last seconds. So I guess it's going to break it in the last second. So we'll keep an eye on it tomorrow. But it did officially break. And it's got some big buyers that just hopped in. But I don't know if it's going to hold that. We'll watch it tomorrow morning. That'll be a fun one. Oil stocks are interesting. And technically, if we do hold 45, it looks like there's a huge buyer that just came in. Let's see if it holds. Barely any of a push. But at the end of the day, to get a push above the breakout is always a nice sign. And then LGCFF, this is doing exactly what we wanted it to do. So at least we got one that's curling up. One of these slower OTCs here. One minute left. Come on, ABXXF. Give us a nice little jolt into the close. 10 seconds, I mean. It seems like we got a nice close there in LGCFF. ABXF, we're going to be slightly down, but that's okay. We're only down $1. Let's get the push here. I'm fine with it. If we get a nice gap up back above 48, we're back in action, and I do think that's going to happen. So we'll be on the lookout for that for tomorrow using 45 as cut. Nice work for Xenoggers. If you guys did take that one, weird little spike into the end, but it did break. Other than that, we'll take it. LGCFF, nice close at 186 with that 180 entry. All right, team. Let's keep taking it one day and one trade at a time. I'll be back here bright and early tomorrow for Webinar Wednesday. If you are interested in joining the team, everyone part of the YouTube and social media, definitely come join us under Simpler Trading website or on the Simpler Trading website under Stock Snipers. But all right, guys, much love. Hopefully we tag some bags tomorrow morning. Look for the gap ups to sell into. And I'll see all you guys then or next week. Peace.